Franck came on. Martin Short played him as the wedding planner. I turned to my grandmother and said, I'm going to be a wedding planner one day.
Wedding day can be 13 plus hours, most likely on your feet, 16,000 steps or more, and hundreds of questions being answered real time.
I started my company March of 2011, a little over 15 years. Wow. Prior to that, I was with the Rosewood Crescent Hotel and Hotel Crescent Court. That was how I really transitioned into the wedding industry. It gave me the foundation of I absolutely want to do this, but I want to do it for families and for brides and grooms. If you're planning your wedding, you should be enjoying that time with your family, your friends, your hair and makeup. You should not be getting calls from vendors saying, truck broke down. Wanted to let you know we're going to be an hour behind on our setup. Sorry. There's a client and there's a planner out there for everyone, regardless of what your budget is. We're not selling a tangible service here to our clients. We are selling an experience that they have yet to have. We are worth our weight in gold. We are here to be your ally and your advocate, go to bat for you, and to give you peace of mind on your wedding day.
Behind every beautiful wedding is a story worth preserving. Hi, I'm your host, Andrea, founder of the nation's premier bouquet preservation studio. Through building that company, I've had a front row seat to thousands of weddings and the incredible professionals behind them. On Bridal Club, I bring you conversations with the experts shaping today's weddings. It's for couples planning their perfect day and the pros who make it happen. Welcome to the club, to Bridal Club.
Welcome back to another episode of Bridal Club. I have a very special guest today, one of the most iconic wedding planners here in Dallas, Crystal Frasier with Crystal Frasier Events, and I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you so much.
You're so sweet. Thank you for the invitation. I'm really excited to be here and dive into a little bit more about this crazy industry that I'm in.
Yeah, me too.
And that I sign up for every weekend.
Yeah. And sometimes I'm like, why do we do that? Oh yeah, because we love it.
Because we love it.
Yeah.
I ask myself that question almost every wedding.
Yeah, I bet. Crystal, we connected a while ago, and I was actually asking you earlier, like, were you here before when we did a floral workshop, and you were so busy that you sent someone else?
Yes, I had to send one of my team members.
Yes, but I was like, I just really want to connect with her. I really want to invite her to the studio so I can really like have a conversation with you and understand like how your brain works, because all of the things that you produce, I mean, they're so intuitive, and on the one hand, on the other hand, they look absolutely stunning. So I really wanted to connect with you and learn more about you. So I'm just so grateful that you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can you walk us through how your journey started?
Yes, my journey started when I was very young. I was a child, and as most children did back in the day, we went to the grocery store with our family, and at the checkout line, there were magazines and bridal publications. And at the time, it was really only Brides magazine. And I was so fascinated by the beautiful covers. And I would ask my family if that is something that they would purchase for me to look at. And I'm like 6 or 7 years old, thumbing through bridal magazines and ripping out pages that I liked of dresses. I was really into the fashion portion. Although the floral was very beautiful and the cakes and all of that, I was just really fascinated by all the prettiness that I saw within the magazine. And I started asking to get poster board and scrapbooks, and I would start to really cut out those images and put them on paper and create these design boards or design decks, I guess you could say. Yeah. But as a 7, 8-year-old, I didn't know that's what it was, but I'd have all these little things, and I would have stories, and I would read the information about these brides that were getting married. And that's really where the fascination started from, was at that point. And then when I was a teenager, Father of the Bride came out. Yeah. And who doesn't love Steve Martin and Martin Short and Diane Keaton and some classic actors. And again, it was about weddings and a bride getting married. And I was really drawn to it. And Franck came on. Martin Short played him as the wedding planner. And I turned to my grandmother and said, I'm going to be a wedding planner one day.
You know, most people have no idea what they want to do, even when they're like our age, which is wild.
Yes, I had a very clear direction. Yeah. I feel like I was a very pensive child and was very goal-oriented as a very young child, being firstborn in my family. only child between my parents, always overachiever, and I put my mind to it,
Yeah.
and I said that's what I was gonna do one day. How to get there was another story and journey, but that's where it started.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
When I was a little girl, I used to do the same thing at the society newspaper on
Yes.
Sunday. So I would
Yes.
always cut those dresses and put them
Uh-huh.
in a little box, and then I
Yeah.
would do my collages and stuff like that.
Mm.
I always thought I was going to be a fashion designer for wedding gowns specifically. And
Yes.
I mean, I'm not doing that, but I'm still kind of like designing. So
Sure,
yeah,
absolutely. Well, the fashion is really what drew me in first and
yes.
foremost. But, I tried the whole sewing class and that did not
Really?
work out
Oh
for
my
me.
gosh.
Yes,
That's
I,
so,
I was really drawn towards wedding gowns and dresses, but that was not something that I connected with once I started taking, classes for sewing. It
yeah,
just did not interest me as much as all the other pieces of the
yeah,
elements were
same.
from a wedding standpoint.
I found myself at a Michael's store taking like a pajama class and
Yeah.
I almost got kicked out because I did it so wrong that the teacher was mad at me. I'm like, I really don't understand what happened to the machine. And I told my mom, like, I don't know that I want to do this anymore.
Right.
And after I graduated with a marketing degree, I
Hmm.
actually went back to fashion, the Art Institute, which obviously there's no
Sure.
more.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I ended up quitting because I had a full-time job. However, it did really teach me a lot. But I told my mom, like, I don't know that I want to do that portion, like the actually sewing, because I'm not
Sure.
good at it at all, nor
Right.
do I have interest. And I remember she told me, like, Carolina Herrera, like,
Hmm.
I don't think she knows how to sew. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's
She just
obviously,
had the vision.
yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that she was a beautiful visionary. I mean, all of
Mhm.
her stuff are absolutely classic and classy and
Mhm.
very timeless, but she just didn't do that part. So it was
Right.
always mesmerizing.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about a full service planning because there's a lot of people and a lot of listeners that are
Mhm.
really honestly trying to find their vendors and they may not understand what the difference is between a full service planner and what is not a full service planner. So can you walk us through that?
Sure. So there are a lot of misconceptions about it and educating the clients. We really try to do that on the front end and really list out what all services are included from a full service design and management standpoint versus partial planning, which is for the bride that feels like if she hires a full service planner that she doesn't get to make any more decisions
Mm,
or that
mm,
her opinion kind of gets taken out of the equation. And that's certainly not the case. We always say that we are collaborators. We are in constant collaboration to really design and bring your wedding to life. And from whatever that looks like, from a color standpoint, from a theme standpoint, from, little intricate moments that you're trying to bring, whether it's a hobby or it's something that's super important with you and your fiance. So I feel like that when brides want a partial planner, it's because they don't want to give up full control, it seems like. And
mm.
maybe that's just some of the ones that we have interviewed, but they seem to think that we're making
Mm.
decisions for them
Yeah. Yeah.
and that their opinion isn't as important when that's absolutely the opposite end of the
Right.
spectrum. We like to present creative partners that we feel like are a good fit for our clients, that are going to work well from a personality standpoint, also fall within budget. We really do a really great job on the front end of establishing what that budget looks like from an overall perspective, if there's any flexibility in it or not, because half of our job is to keep us on track from a budgetary standpoint as well, in addition to designing and managing this process. So, obviously, no two weddings are alike,
Mhm.
whether it's a design standpoint, a budget standpoint, number of guests standpoint, what's most important to a client versus what's lesser of importance. And so we really like to hone in on what are those top elements for our clients? What are the non negotiables or what are the hot button points for those clients so that we can make sure that their vision is being implemented and that their opinions are being considered when presenting ideas or creative partners to them. So when I have a client that was like, my mom and I, she doesn't work and I feel like there's a lot of these things we can do on our own. If this is the first time that a bride is planning her wedding, she doesn't know what she doesn't
Oh my
know.
gosh.
And when
Yeah.
you get into it, the devil is in the details.
Yeah.
And that's when stress starts to come into
Yeah.
play. that's where if you and your mom are making a lot of the decisions, now you don't have your ally and your liaison and the person as your planner that is going to present the pros and cons for all of your decision making from that point forward. Do we offer partial planning? We absolutely do. We don't want to miss out on that market, but I would say that 65 to 70% of our clients, we do full service planning and management and design for them. So with partial, you don't get that design element, which is a huge piece of the wedding pie. And you want there to be continuity and consistency between everything so that it flows. And when your guests walk into that reception space, they say, oh, this is exactly Ashley and
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like that those misconceptions are that a full service planner is going to take a lot of the decision making out of this process, which
Mm.
is absolutely not the case.
I actually love the fact that you said that. And I kind of wish I had heard that before
Mhm.
planning my wedding. Macy with Social Llama.
Yes.
She did my wedding. She no
Yes.
longer does weddings, by the way, which I'm
Yes.
very
I
happy.
love Macy. She's
Yeah,
very sweet.
she's amazing. And obviously, coming from the background that we
Mhm.
did, cutting those dresses when we were
Yes.
so young, I always wanted to plan my wedding. And she was a full service planner. And part of me, I almost feel like I didn't plan my wedding. But the fact, I still had a ton of input. She
Sure.
just did, she just took care of all the logistics. So I
Right.
almost feel like you gave me permission to say, I did plan my wedding. Obviously, she was the one who executed everything. But I love that so much because ultimately, I did make every decision that was important. And my whole wedding was a true reflection of who my husband and I are.
Right.
So I love the fact that you mentioned that because
Yes.
I did have a lot of input, but I just didn't get into the nitty gritty things that I'm
Correct.
so glad I didn't.
Yes. Well, it can drive you crazy.
Yes.
And it's very stressful and it can wake you up in the middle of the night. And
Yeah.
that's when a bride has a qualified wedding planner, those things shouldn't be happening.
Right.
It should be a constant collaboration and, let's discuss the pros and cons. Let's discuss, why this might be, not the best of ideas. And so, I'm certainly not the yes planner to everything. I think my clients and people in the industry know that, but that's because I have 25 years of experience to fall back on that ranges in various different pulse points within the industry. And I'm able to really educate the clients as to why certain things won't work and why they will and why other things will absolutely work. But I think it's presenting everything so that at the end of the day, if we do go their route, and if I didn't tell them that this could be a factor of what they really wanted, and then something goes wrong, and then I say, well, I didn't want to tell you.
That makes sense.
And they would say to me, but that was your job to tell us and to really present what works best, because this is our first time doing it where you've been doing this for as long as you have.
Yeah. Speaking of, I actually really want to touch base on your experience. So before your company, where were you?
Yes. So I started my company March of 2011. So it's been a little over 15 years, which is crazy to me that it's been that long. Prior to that, I was with the Rosewood Crescent Hotel and Hotel Crescent Court. So I was Rosewood trained, worked there for about 5 years. That was how I really transitioned into the wedding industry, was working for the hotel. I planned all of the weddings and social events there. Over the course of almost 5 years, it was a little over 140 weddings and events there. Yeah, strictly was social driven. So it could have been a post-wedding brunch, rehearsal dinner, a party. I didn't touch any corporate or gala or nonprofit. Prior to that, I was with the Dallas Market Center for 5 years, and that was my first job out of college.
Wow.
And I planned fashion shows, parties, and seminars. So that really gave me the taste of events. I was working on banquet event orders and menus and entertainment, floral, decor, linens. I had everything but a bride and groom and a ceremony.
Oh my gosh.
So it really set the platform that, yes, I am doing this to get my feet wet, get into the event industry. Who knows who you're going to meet within the process. and gave me the foundation of I absolutely want to do this, but I want to do it for families and
Mhm.
for brides and grooms.
Yeah, yeah, and you're very well respected in the industry. I know you know this, but
Thank
I mean,
you.
people talk about your weddings all the time,
Thank
even
you.
when you're not in the room, which is the best part, seriously.
That is the best part.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So I want to talk to you about what you shared. You said that the wedding day basically can be 13 plus hours, working
Hmm.
13 plus hours,
Hmm.
most likely on your feet,
Hmm.
16,000 steps or more, and
Hmm.
hundreds of questions being answered real time. Can you walk us through what actually looks like for your team on wedding day?
Oh, goodness. Well, yes, I can. It depends on the scope of the event. So, obviously, if we're in a tent build out, our days start on Monday or Tuesday, the week of a
Oh
wedding.
my gosh.
So, you're looking at about 100,000 steps over the course of that week
Yeah.
when it's all said and done. Now, if we're just doing a weekend wedding where we have a rehearsal ceremony, rehearsal dinner, maybe a welcome party, and the wedding the next day, which we just did a couple of weeks ago for 340 people. And we planned everything plus a post wedding brunch on a Sunday.
Oh,
Your days, you have all week of prep to
yeah.
lead up to the day of. Constant changes happen, flights get
Yeah.
canceled, people cancel, you have to move guests around when you've already prepped all of your baggies with all of your escort cards and your menu cards that correlate to everything. And so, constant changes like that. You may get a call from a vendor that something didn't come in that was supposed to. Maybe it was a floral component that was super important to your
Oh my
client,
gosh.
or a graphic came in that wasn't right, or when we had a hailstorm or that ice storm, I'm sorry, back in January, my
Yeah.
menu cards didn't come
Oh
in.
my God.
Everything else made it. All of the other paper products made it, but the menu cards didn't. And so you have to pivot and you have to, pick up the pieces and get the job done, because you don't want to let the client know that their menu cards didn't come.
My
You don't want
God.
them to even notice the day of that
Yeah.
original menu card wasn't there. So how do you rectify this? So on wedding day, we are getting to the venue at first vendor load in. And typically, most of our events, our vendor load in starts on Friday. It alleviates stress on wherever the venue is with their team. If we are allowed to get in a little earlier, it takes a little bit of the pressure
Yeah.
off of things and allows you a little early setup. So, in case if there are, issues that arise, you're finding out a day in advance as
Mm.
opposed to day
Hmm.
of, which we always love an early install.
Yeah,
So,
for
shout
sure.
out to all of my places that allow us to get in
Yeah.
early, because it really does help everyone involved, especially their team as well. But we're getting to the venue early. We are loading in. We're answering from the moment we get there. We've already got questions. I've already probably received anywhere from 3 to 10 either phone calls or
Yeah.
texts that have happened from getting up in the morning before I even arrive to the venue.
Yeah.
My team doesn't see all of that, but I do.
Right.
And so once we get on site, we are walking through our floor plans. We're making sure that no changes happened the day prior to at rehearsal ceremony, or someone could have canceled overnight. Now we've got to pull things, we've got to readjust, numbers, place settings, things of that nature. So it's communicating that to everyone, making sure that our creative partners are getting in at the
Hmm.
time that they're supposed to, because it is a game of, it's a domino effect. So
Right.
certain, once we layer these venues, there are certain layers that have to go down before, other
Mm.
components, like can't put floral and decor on the table until linens are on the table. We
Yeah.
can't do that until our
Yeah.
tables are in place, unless we're doing a flip. So there are multiple things that we are checking in on and making sure that all of the pieces are falling into place accordingly and that we're not getting too behind schedule. We always like to build in anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour buffer time
Wow.
just to have as backup
Yeah.
in the event that a truck, breaks down. Actually, at that wedding 2 weeks ago, my dance floor company was supposed to install at 11:30 a.m. and they texted me at 10:15 and said our truck broke down on the side of the road and
Oh my
we
gosh.
are trying to get another truck here as fast as possible. And it was dance floor, but it was also our stage for our ceremony.
Mm.
And we had a huppa going in. So that huppa needed to start to be designed because it was a lot of floral that was being designed on it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, we need to get that stage here as soon as possible. Like, you need to keep me updated every 15 minutes as to what's happening
God.
so that I can give that floral creative partner a heads up on how far now behind are we going to be on this HUPA install, because all of our photos were happening
Oh my gosh.
at the HUPA as well.
Yeah.
So, it's little things like that on wedding day. We are managing all of these creative partners, and every single vendor category is represented. And if there are things like that are happening, we're having to in real time fix these issues and make sure that at 4 o'clock when those photos are happening, that everything is in place. So if it's calling in extra backup of labor at the last minute that we have to do, then that's something that we have to do. And so it is 100 balls coming our direction.
My gosh.
Constant phone calls. We're also checking in on our clients, making sure that hair and makeup and that the guys are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and so that they will be ready as well. Because
and making sure that they're relaxed and they see you like smiling and just super
and that nothing stressful is happening behind the scenes.
Oh my God. We've had a lot of planners on the podcast, but I don't think anybody has explained it the way you have. And I'm just so glad we're having this conversation, because we have a lot of people listening because they're trying to choose, like, do I need a planner?
Sure.
Can I plan it myself? You know? And this is why these type of conversations matter. Because, oh my gosh, everybody thinks like, oh, it's just like planning another event. I'm really good at planning like my, my social events.
Right. Yes. Planning a party at your home is completely different than planning a wedding on your wedding day. At your home, it's your domain. It's your domicile. It's all of your things, unless you have rentals coming in, but you're on site. You know it. You can pivot if you need to. If you're planning your wedding, you should be enjoying that time with your family, your friends, your hair and makeup, your parents that are in there. You should not be getting calls from vendors saying, truck broke down. Wanted to let you know we're going to be an hour behind on our setup. Sorry. Things like that. Or this person is running late. You're being pulled away. We like to tell our clients, regardless of, or any inquiries that are coming in, we're not the planners for everyone. Not every client is a client for us. We totally understand that. There's a client and there's a planner out there for everyone, regardless of what your budget is. It is in your best interest to hire someone even if it's just month of, to wrap up your pieces and to wrap up your schedules, be an on-site liaison for you on the day of. It is peace of mind. It's a security blanket. We are worth our weight in gold, whether it's us or another company. I have a lot of respect for a lot of my planner friends that are out there. We cross-refer each other. If we're not available, we love to send business to other places, or if maybe our price point is out of this client's comfort level, we have other partners and planners that we love to send business to that we do feel like would be a good fit for them.
And I love the fact that you mentioned that, because a lot of people, and we do also have a lot of vendors listening to this, by the way, so I know they're going to learn a lot from this episode, but a lot of people think like every client can be their client. And on the one hand, yes, but is that really what you want? And the fact that you said like, you're not good for necessarily everyone, or everyone is not necessarily good for you. It's so true. And it's so true. And I appreciate that you said that. Can you explain to me who your ideal client is? Can you describe them real quick?
Oh gosh, our ideal client. Looking back, I feel like it has evolved so much as we've grown as well. And as I've grown as a planner within the industry, I feel like our ideal client is someone who will trust their creative partners. We have a lot of type A brides, and we love a type A bride. They're very organized. They know what they want. But we also want clients that are receptive and open to ideas and that will collaborate. We're not yes planners. We don't say yes to everything. Because it's not always right. But also for me to have the confidence to be able to have that conversation and for us to talk through it so that their wants and needs are still being met, but it logistically and operationally makes sense on the back end. And so having a collaborative relationship with our clients is super important. Having that trust factor on both sides of the equation is always really nice at the end of the day when you feel like your clients trust you and that you trust your clients. as well, it makes for a better planning
Oh, yeah.
experience from day one through their wedding
Yeah,
day.
for sure. And there's truly no replacement for experience and that you don't lack of, you know. You have a lot of experience and I mean, as you said, you started at a hotel. So you
Sure.
oh my goodness, it's like
Yeah, venue
very
side of
broad.
things, venue side of things. I don't think that I could be the planner that I am today, not having that experience of being in a venue
Mhm.
first. I learned a wealth of knowledge about
Mhm.
hospitality, food and beverage, working with luxury clientele, how to exceed
Mhm.
expectations, how to anticipate what
Yes.
their needs may be next without them even asking. Back of the house, front of the house, working with different departments like
Mhm.
housekeeping to front desk to
Mhm.
security. I definitely am so happy for how my path has come about from, Dallas Market Center
Yeah.
to hotels to venue to then branching out on my
Yeah.
own. So kudos to the planners that don't have that experience that can enter this market and still be successful. But I know for me,
Yeah.
I don't think that I'd be the same
Oh
planner
my
that I
gosh.
am
Yeah.
today.
You were set up for success. Like, I mean, totally. So that's awesome. It was probably without you realizing what you were doing.
It was just stepping stones that I knew
Yeah.
that would help, but I
Yeah.
didn't know how much it would
Right.
help until I looked back on
Yeah.
my career and on my
Yeah.
experience.
We spoke a lot about having the right vendors on your
Mhm,
side, but I really want to talk to you also about having your team being right next to you and helping you on
mhm.
wedding day. Can you tell me more about that too?
Yes. So my team, they are so amazing. I've had two planners that have been on my team for a little over eight
That's
years.
incredible.
And I met one of them was through a hotel in the area that I was planning an event at. And I felt like he was almost two steps ahead of me. And that has never happened in my career. So John, he joined me a little over 8 years ago, and I was like, "Are you available to help on the weekends?" And he's like, "Absolutely." And it's been 8 years. And
Wow.
then another one of my planners, Courtney, she cold emailed me, and it was on a week that I obviously was in a pinch or needed someone.
Yeah.
And she planned her wedding, and she had so much fun doing it. And she was like, "I really think that I could be an asset on the weekends. I have a full time job. I'm not looking to transition to full time position. Just want to help out on the weekends, and the rest is history." And so I've got four other planners that are in my normal wheelhouse. And, depending on the scope of the event, we could have four planners there. We could have 10 planners there. It just depends
Oh my
on.
gosh.
Yes, it
Wow.
depends on how many guests, what the build out looks like. Are we running transportation things where I've got to have planners at various hotels, getting people on buses, and
Yeah.
then just the setup, just your normal setup that you
Hmm.
need there. So
Yeah.
my team is amazing. We try to do things multiple times throughout the year. At the end of the year, we do a holiday Christmas party, and that's really an opportunity for us to all be together
Hmm.
because they're not always on all of the same events. And so it's an opportunity where everyone is together. We get to have this fabulous dinner
That's
and
awesome.
talk about not just our weddings, but like what's going on in their life. And it's always nice when you get an end of the year bonus and present as well.
Yeah.
So I am so grateful for all of their assistance and their help, on wedding days, because that makes me successful at the end of the day as well.
Yeah.
And I typically get all the credit because the clients are mostly dealing directly with me,
Hmm.
but it is a team effort.
Yeah.
It, takes a lot of
Oh
help
yeah.
and assistance across all of the different
Right.
categories. And so it's a collaborative effort. And I'm truly grateful for them.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're super grateful for you as well. I mean, the fact that a couple of them have been with you for 8 years,
Yeah.
that's just a big testament of who you are as a leader. So that's
Thanks.
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to go back to basically the groom and the bride
Mhm.
when they have like stress factors. What are the top three moments of this or decision making they have to go through that you think are really stressful, and how do you approach them?
Yes. So when I sit down with clients and we get through all of the initial kind of that initial consultation. And then they decide that they want to move forward with a contract and getting us in place. And we're super excited. And then that's when we move on to some of the other elements. And I feel like the top 3 stressful moments throughout the planning process for my clients, and it's been this way since the start of my career, is finalizing your guest list, finalizing a budget number and where the comfort level is for everyone. And then the third would be towards the latter end, unfortunately, and it does happen within the last 30 days, and it's assigning guests to tables because not every table is the best table at a venue or in a ballroom or wherever their location is. And so it's like, well, how do we put people at that table? Someone has to go there, but it's like, who are those guests that will? And so finalizing the guest list is always stressful because sometimes there are space limitations to your venue. You're working with maximum capacity, certain places. And so when you're starting to add up numbers from bride's list from her parents, groom's list from his parents, and now you got bride and groom's list, and are we going to invite the work friends and extended family? And we've got big families, and where's the cutoff? If we are, the guest list can sometimes pose a lot of stress. And that happens initially because everyone wants to invite everyone to their wedding. I totally get it. However, sometimes for budgetary reasons, we can only have X amount of people, or sometimes for space limitation reasons. And so people have to go back to, their respective areas and trim the list and cut the list. And that can get a little tricky and can be be stressful as well sometimes.
What do you tell them though? Like for instance, when I have friends getting married, I just honestly ask them, like, have you seen that person in the past couple of years?
Yep.
If you haven't, like, do you really need to invite them? Because honestly, as you said, like, we just feel like we need to invite all the people. And to be honest, like, do you really want them right next to you when somebody who is more important in today's life, like today, that can actually take that place?
Sure. Absolutely. So yes, absolutely. We start with what you said, but we actually take it a little step further as well, because we really put this into perspective for them. And I feel like that's why I have the relationship that I do with a lot of my clients. Is what you just said is absolutely correct. However, when you start to equate things to dollars, things change. Most of our clients are spending minimum $800 a head up to $2,000 a head. So if you have a list or there's a B list, when did you see them last? Sometimes they've never even met these people. It's like friends of parents that they want to invite that they've never met. So I typically take it a step further and say, okay, that's 2 additional people. You're probably going to be at $1,500 a head. For $3,000, are these people that important to you for them to be there? Something of that nature. And that's where they will absolutely stop in their tracks. They'll take a couple of steps back. And it's not important because for $3,000, they could get more floral, or they could upgrade their bar, or they could get a wish list item or a rental situation, or maybe they wanted to add on, rehearsal dinner coverage here or something of that nature.
That's crazy.
Or I'll say, would you have these people in your home at a dinner party? If you if you could have a dinner party for 12 people or 15 people, would they make this dinner? Or have they ever been to your home? Have they seen your home? Have you ever seen their home? So we take it a step further.
I love putting things into perspective that way because it really makes people understand where you're coming from. I mean, we kind of like have to do the same thing for our podcast.
Sure.
We get literally dozens of people wanting to be on the podcast every week.
I'm sure.
And what Ricky and I had to realize is like we had to put a number together. Would you give somebody $550 worth of a gift?
Sure.
Because if the answer is no, because that's what it costs to actually produce it, right? From like start to end.
Right.
And when you say, no, I don't think so, I don't know this person, and I'm not necessarily 100% interested in learning about their story as of right now, that's when you're like, okay, maybe I'll pass on this person as of right now. You know?
And you can always circle back to it.
Of course.
Maybe the guest list, or maybe these people are super important to parents. And, at the end of the day, most of our parents are paying for these weddings. And so there's always a little bit of a compromise and give and take there. Or They might hear from someone when save the date goes out that they aren't able to come right off the bat, or a handful of people that can't come. And then maybe these people do end up making it back on the list. But when you start to put things into dollar perspective,
Yes. That makes
and then they start to go through their entire guest list, because they start to pull out other people based on that number, because they don't equate it that way on the front end. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they hire you.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
We hope.
Yeah.
That's
No,
why
and
they hire
budget
us.
budget part it's oh my God, that is super stressful for anyone,
Yes.
because you think you're fine and you have a budget, and all of a sudden it's kind of like, because you don't know what you don't know, until you start learning about how much things cost.
Right.
That can be very stressful. How do you manage that?
Yes. Well, that's why we like to initially sit down, and we like to get an idea of what is their expectation for this wedding weekend. What we like to start with photos. We also like to ask them a lot of questions about how they live, how they vacation, where do they go out for date nights. We really like to get an idea of their personality, because that will absolutely trickle into the wedding at some point. If they go out to dinner and they typically will get a bottle of champagne at a dinner that's like a Perrier Jouet, we're not going to serve moms at their wedding, because they're not used to living that way.
Yeah.
But we also want to make sure that we are educating them on a budget standpoint of, okay, these inspiration photos that you're showing of floral, it's going to be a little bit more. Are you prepared for this number? Would this be a surprise to you if I told you that the number that we're anticipating for 200 guests for your floral is X amount? Would that surprise you? Or are we upping the budget, or where are these items going to fall into place? And that's why we also like to ask these clients, what is most important to you for the evening versus less? Everything is important, but if you had to rank it in order of importance, how do these categories fall for you? Because that's where we're going to allocate more budget and dollars towards the things that are more important to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that there's a lot of logistics, just like in the way that you think and everything that you explain when you're planning a wedding. And I just really hope that this episode is helping you so much on deciding, like, yes, I do need a planner, because trust me, you're going to save a lot of headaches and a lot of
money too, because
true.
again, we're going to maximize the budget as best as possible to give you everything that you want. And again, if you've never done this before, then you don't know how to approach certain areas or how to manage a bar properly, or maybe we're only upgrading 2 of your alcohols versus an entire bar that's going to save you a little bit of money there. And so again, we are worth our weight in gold. We are here to be your ally and your advocate, go to bat for you, and to give you peace of mind on your wedding day. So
lastly, I had no idea that guest tables was so stressful. Tell me more.
Yep. So I feel like that when you've got 20 tables, let's just call it 20 tables, right? And you've got 180 guests that you're assigning to these 20 tables. Where's the band located versus where bars are located? Where's a head table? Where are family tables? There's always going to be a bad spot table wherever you are in a venue. It's just the way it is. There's not a venue that has a great seat or a great position in every single space. And so it's like, what guest are you going to put in the corner? That corner table, or that table that's all the way in the back in the corner, where they don't feel like they were slighted or they're the B list or things of that nature. Fact of the matter is, they should be happy that they're in the room, first and foremost. They should be happy that they're being hosted to a lovely evening with entertainment, a beautiful meal, an amazing bar, and they're with their friends or loved ones. However, people do get a little weird about where their table placement is. I mean, I've had a few guests. I mean, this doesn't happen very often, but I've had some people that have moved their place cards from one to another, or their friends were sitting at another table and they wanted to sit with their friends, but that's just not how it works.
Yeah.
So, so there's that. But yes, it can get a little stressful on grouping your guests. The easy part is your wedding party and your family tables. Those are the easy ones. It's the extended friends,
Okay.
it's the extended family, or it's the work people. Like, where are you going to sit them that
Yeah, that
that
makes sense.
evening? So
Yeah.
that's where things can get a little stressful and tricky, is grouping these people, because our clients try to do a good job of matching people up. But at the end of the day, it's a wedding, and you never know what kind of mood they're going to be in.
Right. That's
But
true.
but our clients do try to match people up that they think will get along and that they have common interests,
Yes, of course.
so that they can talk and converse during that dinner course.
Yeah. Crystal, I want to talk to you about business because you're obviously very creative, extremely creative. If you see their Instagram, you'll see what I'm talking about. But then you're also very business oriented. Where did that come from?
Yeah. So, great question. I went to school for marketing and business. I always knew, as I said, that I was going to be a wedding planner. I wanted to have my own boutique planning firm one day. And I knew that marketing and business was going to give me a really great foundation to be able to launch in any industry, really. But I wanted to get that business side of things. I really wanted to hone in on what it was like to create a business plan and a marketing plan and P&L, and how to really properly start a business. And so I double majored in marketing and business. And from day one, it was, what type of business are you starting? And we put together a business plan.
So for people that are listening that are, graduating from high school and they really want to go into the wedding industry, would you recommend them to do what you did?
Yes and no. I feel like, yes, it was great for me, but at that time when I graduated, that was so many years ago versus now. I feel like, my summer intern from last year that's starting back with me full time in like a week from now, she went to school for events and hospitality management. And I feel like that was a really great program for her, and really gave her, the tools and the foundation to get into this industry as well. And so I know that there are a lot of programs that have that. When I started, my school didn't offer an events and hospitality major. So that's why I did marketing and business. I was always drawn to like marketing and things of that nature, but the business was so that I knew how to properly set up my company when I wanted to start it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes so much sense. And I mean, having that structure really does help you, whether you are going to business or, or having, as you said, that major that you just mentioned.
Events and hospitality.
Yes, thank you. Or working for a corporate business where you can actually really learn, kind of like you. I mean, you ultimately work for one of the best hotels in Dallas.
Yes. Yeah. At the time, it really was the mansion on Turtle Creek, which was our sister property at the time, and Hotel Crescent Court. The Ritz was not built yet.
Wow.
Adolphus was going through a renovation at their space. And so those were the creme de la creme of Dallas. And now there's so many newer hotels and amazing, hotels in the area that we love working at. But at the time, it really was the Crescent and the Mansion and the Adolphus. It was those three.
Yeah, we actually just had Blaine, right?
Yes,
Blaine Eats.
yes.
We just had her on the podcast too.
I love her.
I know,
Sweet.
she's amazing. So I really want to just finish up this with this question. What do you consistently see couples remember most about their weddings?
Yes. What my couples remember most is, did they have a great time? Like, did they want to continue the party? Did the party continue? A lot of times we extend the party in the bar, or we have after parties, which is always a lot of fun to keep the party going. But at some point, all must come to an end. But if they had a great time, they also remember how easy that week was for them and how the day was, and that they really were able to let go and trust all of their creative partners to do what we do best. And at the end of the day, we all want to exceed our clients' expectations. We are people pleasers. We are in this industry to provide a luxury service to our clients, and we want, my biggest compliment at the end of the wedding is, being with clients and them saying, we couldn't have done this without you. They're thanking us in their welcome speech in front of all of their guests. Like, that is so just beyond
Yeah.
to me. And it touches my heart. It is the reason why I wanted to be in this industry because it's a very personal, it's a very emotional
Right.
industry to be in. And there's a lot of pressure that comes along with that and expectations when you're dealing with the clientele that we deal with. But I wouldn't have it any other way. But
Yeah.
yes, I think the greatest takeaways from the clients are the fun factor and how easy the day was for
Yeah.
them.
So truly the experience that you provide. That's
Correct.
awesome.
And that's the thing too, is at the end of the day, we're not selling a tangible service here
Mhm.
to our clients. We are selling an experience that they have yet to have
Yeah.
and a vision to be able or to execute their vision as best as
Mhm.
possible on their wedding day. And they're trusting us as consultants
Mhm.
because we don't have photos to fall back or to show them after, or a video, or the floral centerpiece that was so beautiful on the table. We're selling the experience that they are going to have 8 to 14 months after they hire us.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Thank you again so much for being here. This was
Thank
so
you. It
amazing.
was so
Oh,
fun.
I know. It went by so fast and I learned so much.
It
Where
did.
can people find you, connect with you, and hire you to plan their wedding?
Yes. So if anyone is interested in us or our work, they can go to Instagram. It's Crystal Frasier Weddings. And that's my name is spelled with an S. So Frasier with an S, Crystal Frasier Weddings. They can go to our website. There's a contact form on our website. It's just crystalfrasier.com. Or you can Google my name or company, and my cell phone number will pop up. So happy to
Awesome.
have anyone contact me, whether it's through Instagram or email, phone, whatever is most convenient for them.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
Of course. You guys, I hope that you learned a lot and that you find your planner for your wedding. Please follow and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.